in. Hey, everybody, welcome to TPH Live, 10% Happier Life. I'm Dan Harris. This is my living room, and every day at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, we connect with some of the greatest meditation teachers on planet Earth in their living rooms. The goal here is twofold. One is to give you a sanity break. We do 5 minutes of meditation, which is accessible to people at any level. Even if this is your first time meditating, we got you. The other goal here is to create a sense of community at a time when a lot of people are feeling cut off. So speaking of meditation teachers, let's bring in my friend, Jeff Warren, Jeffrey, as I like to call him, just to give it a little kiss of formality there. How you doing? How we doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah. No, I'm just saying you and my mom, the Jeffrey. Usually when I'm in trouble, Jeffrey, it never gets old. For me, the shoulders go up. I'm like,
well, you're not in trouble. I'm so happy to see you. Actually, it's been a long time. It
has, man. It's really good to see you. Good to see you living.
Good to see you in my living room. You may see a cat or a 5-year-old wander through at some point. Liz Levin, one of our producers, sent me some talking points that you had, some of the things that you were interested in talking about. But one of them that stuck out to me was the idea of, and these are your words, honoring your own weird coping strategies in this time. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, for me, I'm interested in this question of practice, right? Of which meditation is just one kind of practice. That, our practices are sort of our medicines of how to kind of be in the world, how to take care of ourselves. And we all kind of have our own intuitive sense of certain practices that we know work for us. And I think coping strategies a lot of them are practices, And for me, this time is sort of an opportunity to look and see, well, what are the things that you're using to get through this time? And can you kind of boost the signal on them so they can become a little bit more deliberately an actual practice that you do? So, I mean, this comes from talking to friends. It comes to just all the people that I'm connecting with right now, everyone sharing what's helping them and what's not helping them. And when I'm hearing that, I'm just hearing all this really interesting bottom-up responsiveness to the crisis and all these very innovative ideas around how to regulate ourselves, how to stay sane. And so that looks like, and I guess my interest too is kind of empowering people to look at their own lives and see that there are already things that they're doing that are working. That yes, adding meditation is a good piece, but even smarter is kind of unbundling meditation, which I can talk about, and boosting the signal and other practices. But look at your own life and say, what are the things that you already know that work? Like, I already know that having a bath is good for me in the evening. I already know that going for a walk in a park, or walking my dog, or playing with my dog, or playing with my kid, or even like a certain amount of watching the news. Like, I need to feel like I'm paying attention to what's going on in the world. So there's a certain amount that's good for me there, or knowing like I want to check out and read these. In my case, like one of my coping strategies is reading terrible fantasy books that I read when I was a teenager. For some reason, I've decided I want to reread some of those. So I'm like going through old J.R.R. Tolkien books, and it's like a coping strategy that, it's just basically what's going to help us get through this time, and can you be more deliberate about it? And I would say to everybody should have like a piece of paper and a pen and just write down like, what are my medicines? What works for me, and just start to get them down. Then how can I kind of like make sure I'm hitting in with 2 or 3 of those every day?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I guess the question I would have, and I know we want to get to the meditation soon, is how do you know what's working or not? So for example, like I find at the end of the day, I really look forward to spending 45 to 90 minutes watching television. Is that a good practice? Is that helping me, or is that somehow not helping me? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, because I think about that a lot around television and Netflix as well. I think that, I mean, it's sort of like you got to begin where you are. So where we are is we're sitting inside a moment in time, which is super tense, which is super stressful, where there's a lot of insecurity and not knowing. So I think that the most important thing is to have something we can do that where we're not feeding the anxious making mind, where we're not just feeding the part of our brain that's coming up with different scenarios of how things could go wrong. So insofar as it's doing that. I think being able to spend a couple hours a day watching, Netflix or whatever is fine. Maybe an hour a day, whatever. You got to kind of figure out your time. But a certain amount, like what works for you, but a certain amount of that I think is good. Just like, that's the thing with coping strategies. They're not perfect. To me, that's not the same as a meditation practice, but it's still a way of taking off some of the anxiety and some of the stress. Now, here's the thing. This is where the mindfulness comes in really handy. It's useful to stay aware of when a coping strategy is actually beginning to now take you in the other direction, that it's no longer helping. If I watch half an hour or an hour or even an hour and a half of Netflix a day, I feel rested. I feel like it's been a good break, not thinking about my world. That's cool. If I start to do longer, then there starts to be a kind of numbing effect, or there starts to be a way in which I'm feeling disconnected from my body. Or in my case, if I'm working too much, like working is a great coping strategy. Like I love working, I like being busy. But if I spend too much time on the screen, too much time writing, at a certain point, it's no longer helping me. It's starting to cause more problems than it's solving. Like I feel like I could feel my body getting more and more disconnected. I need to move to get energy moving. So you kind of have to have this this sort of meta awareness around like, what am I doing right now that's actually useful, right? That's useful and helpful. And can I honor that, even if it looks like watching Netflix or doing whatever? And can I actually be smart about how much I'm going into it? Can I titrate my exposure to screens, for example?
That makes a ton of sense. I've been thinking about you a lot recently, and how much I love your style of guiding meditation, because I've been teaching to the best of my ability. My poor neighbor. I have a neighbor, Naomi. She's watching. Shout out, Naomi. And we get together in the evenings and chit chat. And she asked me to teach her how to meditate. And so I find myself ripping you off left and right. So many of the great things that you say in guided meditation. So I was really looking forward to today, in part for that reason. So maybe now's the moment for me to shut up and let you do 5 minutes of meditation.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to just focus on my specialty in meditation is doing nothing. So this is going to be a practice that's really about exploring really what the fundamentals of meditation is, which is just being without needing to do a whole lot of stuff over top of that. So I can start, for me, it starts with closing my eyes, although you can have yours open if you like, and then maybe taking a few deep breaths. Kind of how I get myself organized. I take a big in-breath, stretch up the spine, and then the out-breath, that's the downward motion. So just kind of being deliberate about, as you breathe out, about softening the worry lines of the forehead and the cheeks, shoulders, softening the hands and the belly. So the basics of a practice is just, in a sense, sitting and enjoying your own company. And a lot of that is about our attitude. So notice your attitude right now. Is there anywhere you're kind of uptight, kind of like braced against, say, the sound of my voice, or you don't like the fact that there's sound coming from the space where you're in right now? Maybe your neighbors or outside. Or maybe there's uncomfortable body sensations that are there, lots of thinking. The attitude is to say this is all welcome. Like you're not going to get uptight about it. You're not going to try to fight it. It's just this mature accepting, oh yeah, here's what's here. Can I just sit inside what's already here? And actually, that's a basic practice right there. There's some people just like to sit in this open way, just being, enjoying their own company. Or if you like, without making a big deal of it, just choose some home base to lightly pay attention to. That can be the sensation of the breath, maybe, or maybe a point in the body, like the belly, or the hands, or sounds. And then we're just sitting, and we're appreciating this opportunity to take a break. Appreciating the simplicity of the situation, the simple breath, the sounds, the body, not needing it to be more exotic. It's huge maturity there. And if you got lots of thoughts going on, not a problem. Just sort of let them be in the background if you can. Don't try to block them or stop them. The first freedom of meditation is choosing what you want to feed, what you want to pay attention to. So just shift your attention away from thoughts and deliberately notice, say, the feeling of the breath or the feeling of the whole posture sitting. Everything else can kind of just play out in the background. Sometimes I think about this practice as just sort of like sitting on a porch at the end of a long work day, and you're just enjoying not doing anything. Or maybe you're sitting on a fire escape in the city and the sounds are coming up from all around. There's nowhere else you want to be. And that's kind of what we're cultivating, a sense of comfort in our own life. With each out breath, imagining that you're breathing out any tension. Each out breath, it's like you're landing a little more firmly on your seat, the cushion, feet on the ground. Here, right here, taking the one seat, sitting in the middle of your life, breathing, relaxing, allowing. And when you're ready, open your eyes and rejoin the insanity of the 21st century. Do.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love the way you guide meditation. I love the sort of I think you've used this term sort of creaturely aspect of it, just kind of the animalistic sense of, here we are in these bodies, and you talk about it in a less cheesy way than I am right now, but just can you kind of for nanoseconds at a time just drop some of the noise and just be alive for a second in a way that's super useful.
Well, that's what I like the meditation teacher Chogyam Trungpa. He used to talk a lot about the basic goodness, and what he meant was just the basic goodness of being an animal, of being a body, in the world. It's the mind that causes the problems. Even a body that's injured, it's a body in the world. There's a certain way in which a body can be comfortable in its being in the world. And so that's what practice kind of drops you more and more into it. It's not a coincidence when you talk to, senior practitioners who've been doing a lot of practice over life, they all talk about how they come more and more into their bodies. I used to always wonder what they meant because that was always up in my head. What do they mean? I'm in my body. Well, that's what they mean.
Okay, so Beverly has a question. She says, I have so much I want to do, but can't mentally settle into anything. Thoughts on that? Perfect guy to ask the question because Jeff has been struggling with attention regulation for a long time.
God, yeah. Well, this is why the practice helps. This is why I meditate. It's for me. I meditate so I can get settled. That even if it's just 10 minutes in the morning or 20 minutes in the morning, and definitely when I do it at night, I sit, I close my eyes, and it's like I just do the meditation more or less that I just guide you guys in, and then a lot of it is about being patient because the energy, the momentum is all like this. Zzz, the buzziness, the excitement, the ideas. It's being patient while it all starts to kind of slowly settle. And it takes a while. It takes like 10 or 15 minutes, depends, until it starts to really feel settled. And then I find from that more settled place, I'm more clear about what I want to do, what is actually important. There's less competition. So that's one way I would work with that. Another way I do it is I do physical stuff. So if I need to clear my head, I just go for a super long bike ride, or I go for a long run, or even a short thing like jumping around, shaking off stuff. That can kind of help me settle me and clear some of the agitation. And then I feel like I'm clear about what I need to do, But ultimately, I would just say, just choose one thing and do it because it doesn't really matter. The other thing that screws you up more than anything is thinking you got to do the right thing, as if there were a right thing. There's only the thing in this moment. And then you do the thing. And then once you do the thing, then there's the next set of choices. And then you do the next thing. And then you're in the next set of choices. And those choices don't look the same as what they look like 2 choices back. So you just go forward, do one thing and keep going. That's what I would say.
All right. Maria asks, she writes, thank you for having Jeff on. Can you ask him about how to approach some of this with humor?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that my wife just warned me about before I went on. She's like, don't make too many jokes because there's lots of people suffering out there, and which is completely legit. So that's the issue this time is how do you and I think to me, being a human being means you're somebody who's complicated and you have mixed feelings. You can simultaneously hold in yourself the fact that this is a very serious moment and you're very concerned about the world, about people in the world. For me, my parents are in their late 70s. Like, I can hold all those things. And at the same time, I can see the humor in the situation, and I think it's a really good practice to see that humor instantly lightens things. It's basically saying that you don't have to be, what humor does is it pulls you out of the stuck place you were in. And it suddenly surprises you out into this open field where all of a sudden now everything is possible. So I think looking around and watching like this strange ballet of people with their masks jogging, trying to avoid each other, and the contortions that they're doing, or the weird scenes that are playing out in supermarkets, and that just brings up to me, it seems funny. And I think like looking for places that are where there is some kind of something that lands in the belly. I mean, this is a good question to ask Dan. How do you approach the humor piece?
Well, a little like you, I can't help it. I'm just an incurable wise ass. I can't help it. I'm gonna make inappropriate comments on the regular. It's very hard for me not to do that, even after a decade of meditation. But I think obviously there's a way to do it wrong, to be insensitive, to not pick the moment. Correct. But I had a great conversation the other day with Sylvia Boorstein, legendary meditation teacher in her mid 80s, and one of the questions we got at with her was, is it okay? Is it still okay to be happy right now? And I think it is still okay to be happy sometimes. And her point is that those moments of happiness, whether it be humor or, motorboarding your cat's belly or whatever it is, can fortify you to deal with the very grim and serious and real stuff that's happening in the world.
No question. I mean, that is the essence of the practice of meditation. It's the practice of learning how to reset in this exact sensory moment, finding it to be fundamentally a safe and rich and nurturing place. And from that move, your capacity to respond is enriched. It's like this reset for the nervous system. that then allows you to be that much more effective when you come back out. So, and I think humor actually has a similar kind of, it's interesting. Someone should write something someday about the relationship between humor and meditation, because it has a similar reset effect in the way I described, the way it pops you out of your trance,
I got interested in that and ordered some Freud book on wit and his relationship to the subconscious, and it was impenetrable. I couldn't read it. So
that sounds extremely funny.
Is your 7-month-old around? Can we catch a glimpse?
Yes. Sweetie, baby, do you want to come say? Can we come? People come meet Eden for a second.
He's here. He's just come down from his nap. He's got the best ever. Can you guys hear me? Because I just
we can hear you. Yeah, it's good.
He's got. Hey, buddy, you want to come say hi, sweetie? Check out his consciousness T-shirt.
Hi.
Hey guys.
That's my wife Sarah. So he's got his little consciousness T-shirt. Is consciousness real?
Yeah, I mean, he's already asking the big questions. I love it.
He's quite advanced for his 7-month-old age. He likes to think about the hard problem of consciousness. Yeah, which looks a lot like oops.
Sarah, you did a great work. You made a beautiful baby.
She did.
Thank you. Jeff helped. We did it together.
Did he really help?
Not that much. Mostly I sweated out. I was like, this is about me. This time, this giving birth moment. I'm like, who's tending my needs?
So great to see both of you. We're out of time, but just sending you oceans of love from Manhattan.
Awesome, dude. And I'll see you on. We're doing a podcast, so I'll chat with you shortly.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to TPH Live. We'll be back tomorrow with more fun, mischief, and mindfulness and whatever. Thanks again to Jeff. Sign up for subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell everybody you know about what we're doing, and stay healthy, stay home, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye, guys. Thanks, dude. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
That was fun, man.